Whoops. Instructions.
Okay. Pretty sure we're live.
Cool. Hey.
Hello. Hey Tim. Hey everyone. Yeah. Bit of an
Hey,
impromptu
Darren.
stream. And I think there's like how many people? Can't really see how many people watching just yet. There's like a couple on YouTube. Yeah, it's
Random.
probably a funny time for people over in the States or what have you. But yeah, I thought this would be just a good opportunity to chat with my friend
Jeez.
Tim, Tim McMahon. He's into flashlights, another flashlight enthusiast, and he's been into this, way longer than I've been into it, and he's much more knowledgeable than I am as
Yep.
well. So
Just a couple of years.
yeah. Yeah. So, what you up to? This is the workshop, eh?
Yep. So gonna do a video on inserting some tritium vials. So that's my little workbench, and got some. Let me check.
Yeah.
So there's a little box of components and drivers and stuff.
Oh,
Got
sweet.
spare LEDs.
It's pretty organized.
Everyone's favorite Nikia 519As, and I think this might be 219Bs. Those are 219Bs.
Yeah.
Let me put it like that, which is a bit clearer.
I've heard of the 519. 519s. The 219s are a little
A bit
they're not as
older.
yeah.
Don't the output's not as high, I don't think. Like slightly less lumens, but they have a nice rosy tint to them. Whereas the 519As are closer to neutral, so the delta UV. Sort of from the difference between the Black Lotus line, where you've got positive, which would be green, and then negative, slightly rosy or pink. So with the 519As, it's almost dead on zero and pure white. So you get a nice pure white light as opposed to something that looks like a zombie movie with like OLight, i3Ts and stuff. I like those ones, but if you want a better beam quality, you'd probably want something like a ray light with a 519A or a 219B.
Yeah.
A nicer beam.
Yeah, you love your ray lights.
Yep. This is a copper one, which is a bit pretty hefty.
Yep.
And if you've seen the Office theme where there's like, I think Jim was progressively adding more and more weights to Dwight's phone, and eventually he just like removed the weights, and Dwight picked up the phone and hit himself in the face because he was becoming accustomed to the weight. I feel a bit like that when I use the aluminium, because this one's really, really light.
Yeah.
Like the aluminium ray light Pineapple Mini.
Oh, that's it. I mean, I've only just got like my first copper torch, the S2 Plus, and this thing feels like a brick. I'm pretty sure it weighs almost as much as the X1. I was like holding up next to each other, and it's
might damage the floor if you drop it.
Yeah.
Is that they're the tritium? It's probably really hard to see, but
yeah.
they're so tiny.
Man, they're difficult to find these days, hey?
Yeah, I can't. I think Mixglow, the website, sold them, and I'm not sure if they're sold out, but I know Raylight.net, he sold out of tritiums like a year ago, and Mixglow have been, I think, hard to get stock, or it's quite expensive for the shipping. But Michael Window, he mentioned that he had some tritium vials, and I reached out and he sent some for free, which was really nice of him. But I'd like to do a video of installing it with some E6000 glue, which I think Chul, I'm not sure if that's how you pronounce his name. I think everyone would know Chul in the flashlight community.
Oh, I've seen some
videos. Yeah.
Like I've seen some of his video, like Chill's flashlight reviews. That guy, yeah. Cool.
Yep.
I'm still fairly new to all this, so
He did some cool videos on using UV resin from Amazon, and so I think the what's it called? Uh, it's not Nortal or Noctua.
UV resin.
Something like, I think it's like NOA 61 UV resin, some fancy stuff. But it's like $60 for a little bottle or tube of it, whereas this is like $17 Australian for, I think it was like $14 actually from Amazon. And this one doesn't really set as hard as the UV resin, so you could potentially pull them out, which is what Chul talked about in his video, saying if you want a temporary install, you could use this stuff, which you can buy from like Spotlight or Amazon.
I had like a fake bit of, it's not even a tritium tube, but one of those glow tubes, and I didn't have anything else but just a bit of PVA glue, and it seems to be holding a bit of a dodgy job for the time being.
So I have to see how I've never used this before to put in, so it's my first time.
So I would
like to do a video.
I guess going back to basics, like what got you into torches to begin with? Like what interests you in them? You know, it's a bit of a. I know about you. I tell people, and people just think it's a bit of an odd sort of hobby. It's unusual hobby, I guess. That we're in. It's not common, but what got you into it?
Geez, I bought like a lithium EagleTac T25C like back in 2014 for just, I think, hunting purposes. But then I never really got into flashlights back then. That was my first 18650 lithium torch, and I got an X-Star VP2, and that was it. I just used that for the next 8 or so years, and then I think in 2020 I wanted to get a flashlight that would go really, really low, so I ended up getting a Zebralight SC64C LE, which is it's a Samsung LH351D emitter, so it's not the best in terms of tint. Like, it's slightly green, but it does. Yeah, it's a floody emitter, and it does go down to like less than 0.05 of a lumen. So I can turn that on. Well, I bought that for the purpose of heating up milk at night. So I'd go and heat up milk for my daughter or baby formula, and I just use the light to sort of light up the room by bouncing the light off the ceiling. Yeah. Just pointed the torch directly up, and that it's so dull that I can see everything, but everything kind of looks blue because there's not enough light to reproduce the colors. Like, the light waves aren't coming back properly, so everything kind of looks a bit bluish. Not sure if you noticed that when you use like a really low moonlight load, or I think I've heard some Americans call it firefly mode. That's, I guess, firefly mode or moonlight mode.
Yeah.
But yeah, in 2020 that got me into started searching for a really low moonlight mode torch, found the Zebralight, and then bought like 3 more. Got like a couple of headlamps and a H600 FC, and some for my dad as well. I think it was a H53 something, and then I thought he would not use it because I just gave it to him. Sometimes I just put something away and never use it, but he carried it around on the farm, and then I think he managed to drop it one time and drive over it with his car or something and smash the lens, and he just put tape over the top of it to keep going. So the lens was working, but yeah, so then the light kept on working, but the lens was cracked. And
yeah, Zebralight's one of those ones I've only just heard about. People, there's like quite a loyal following to them, eh?
I think. Yeah, I guess I entered the scene or started looking for flashlights a bit late in 2020, and I think at the time Zebralight, they probably had several models out, and they didn't really come out with many models between 2020 and 2022. They're like sort of just selling what they've got and kept producing the same designs. So I think they've got kind of popular, but not massive. And it would be good to see them innovate and create some new stuff, because I think they'd they did upgrade the red headlamp. So the H502PR photo red, and then they replaced that. I think it's like the H503R, where it's got two little red emitters. And they're talking about, I think, upgrading some of the emitters in their classics, like the SC700D. I think it's got a XHP 70.2, and they might put like a XHP 70.3 in it as a slight upgrade to get a bit more through. But
I was thinking about
I
was thinking about how you were we were talking about lights, and I had a lot of these high lumen lights, and then you were telling me how you over time you've sort of gone for more like smaller compact lights, and I couldn't understand that at the time, but now, like, after playing around with all these lights for some time, you realize like how little you use those 10,000 lumen lights or whatever. They're just so I mean, they're really impressive, but normally, I mean, I don't really carry them around with me or do much with them besides just show off to a friend or whatever, or try to burn a hole in a bit of paper. But yeah, like, you've got a really good, like, really cool collection of these ray lights, and I remember you telling me they were your favorite ones, ray light. One of your favorites, anyway.
Pretty much what I use for EDC. I think if I quickly go, I can grab a torch.
Oh yeah, that's cool.
I'll sneak around.
Yeah,
I've got a bigger thrower oil from.
Yeah, got Constant.
This was like.
I've got Constantine in the chats. Hey Constantine, thanks for your comment. How you doing? From Romania, and I think Constantine, you got a group, don't you? It's like Flashlights Power Zone. Pretty sure you got it, like Flashlights Power Zone. But yeah, this is a really impromptu sort of stream. So, like, Tim and I were just going to test to see if the stream worked, and I don't know. We ended up just clicking the button anyway, jumping the gun a bit. Oh man, is that the W4 Pro?
Yeah, it's a. So I don't even have a battery in this one, but what's I think? Yeah, it has no battery.
It's not as big as I thought it would be. Hey, it's quite I mean, you could put it in a jacket pocket or something.
Geez, got so much junk on there. Here's a, what is that? A through night catapult mini for comparison. So I guess I could maybe sure if you can. It's pretty small, I guess.
Yeah,
but it's about supposed to be 2.8 million candela. I measured 2 million candela, but that was my first attempt at measuring. I was using this Unity. UT Beat, or was it Beat? UT 383 something. It's a Unity 383 BT Bluetooth, and just a laser meter. It's an LM100.
Yeah.
So I was using that to try and figure out the distance on an oval to the fence, and I tied this to a fence, and then used a tripod to point the beam at this, and I only had two 21-700s, like a science guy and a well tool. So I tried the science guy first, and then I put in a fresh well tool, and at 30 seconds, I think it was like 2 million candela, or 2.4, and I was expecting 2.8. So I need to go and do a proper test and make sure I get the timing right and the batteries are okay and there's no fog.
Yeah. I like how you've got you're just so precise with your measurements, and I think at the time before I met you, I was reading just some of your blog posts and stuff, and I mean, for me, I've just got a little Lightmaster Pro, but you've got like a proper light meter, and you got your Opal Lightmaster Pro,
that's a great one for, like, I use it to measure the delta UV, and you get the X and Y coordinates to tell you the delta UV, how far away it is from the black lotus lines,
Yeah.
and the cry or the CCT if you want to know how warm or cool it is.
Yeah.
Because I don't have anything else to tell me what the cry is or the temperature.
Yep.
I mean, you could try and use a camera or something, but this is pretty nifty.
I think photographers use that as well, don't they? As like a kind of tool to check the ambient light and how to adjust their camera's white balance and stuff. So it's like a multi sort of tool or whatever.
I think
light tool.
Yeah, like Chul's he's got like a Seconic something. Those are pretty expensive.
Yeah. So I'm guessing some of these are your favorite lights, like the ray light. The green one, you posted the green one a while back, and then with the W4 Pro, that's like, I mean, that's a serious light.
Gifted to me from Light Shop, which is really nice of Adam.
Yeah.
I'll put that somewhere safe. I started buying more and more test equipment just to make life easier. I'm not sure if you can. Probably can't see. Let me.
Yeah, no, I can see generally on the bench.
You could probably see. Yeah, when I go to check stuff, it's probably too far away. I've got to a point where I can hook up. I don't have any spare heads that aren't broken here, but I'll basically connect positive and negative probes here to a driver head, and just use a bench power supply to measure the current that's going through the driver. So when you reduce the voltage, it kind of simulates what a battery does when it runs out of, I guess, when it's just going down. So yeah, reduce the voltage and see what happens to the current, and usually the current will keep going and drop down and down and down, and then ideally at 3 volts or 2.5 volts, for a lithium battery, it will cut out. If it doesn't cut out and there's still current, then it's a quick way of determining that there's no low voltage protection.
And that's kind of dangerous, isn't it? Like if you have the battery discharged too low or too high, like actually when I met you, you gave me I was telling you about some old charger, some 18650 charger that I was using, and I think I freaked you out a little bit because like you need a good quality charger, and you sent me one of them VC8s. I guess with battery safety, and you taught me a little bit about that, but checking that making sure that it's a good quality charger and that the batteries aren't getting too hot or even really too warm when they're charging.
Yeah, it was a bit scary because I don't like connecting batteries up to 240 volt unless they go through like a AC to DC converter and like 12 volt input. That way you're not really, you don't run the risk of getting electrocuted in case when you go to pull out the battery from the charging slot, the metal parts might not be isolated correctly from the 240 volt mains, and you might get electrocuted if there's a short. But if you've got 240 volts running through the battery, that'll probably explode anyway. So it's not sure.
Yeah.
If you'd actually get electrocuted in that scenario.
Yeah. Yeah, like glad I haven't had anything crazy happen so far, but nowadays I'm pretty wary with lithium batteries. It turn into sort of an issue.
Here's one I destroyed earlier.
Oh, cool. What's that one?
Sorry, Sophone.
XHP 70s, 70.2s?
Geez. I think they're 50. They're probably XHP 50.2s or maybe they're 70s. I should know, really. I should, but
too much too much current going through them at some point.
Yeah, I think I destroyed one of the FETs.
Oh, yeah.
So one of the FETs is like constantly. I think one of them's blown, and it keeps two of them turned on.
Yeah.
So put some high drain cells in the Lyshon. What do you call them? The LR 21700H or something. Yeah. They're from Neil. I think Lyshon's got a factory up near Beijing. Might be in Tianjin.
Who? Neil?
Oh no, not Neil, but Lyshon. The
the cells, the Lyshon cells. Yep. Okay, I know what you're talking about because they're
pretty
cheap as well. Those cells, and apparently good quality. Sofern use them in some of their lights, don't they? Yeah.
They're different grades. Like you probably have higher capacity. The ones in Sofern's probably better capacity.
Yeah.
Like 4,000 or 5,000 milliamp hours, but you might only get 3,000 milliamp hours with the high drain Lyshons because they're intended for like a really high current, and you might not get that capacity.
I managed to get hold of one of them Molicel P42s recently. P42As. I don't know if you've seen them before or have heard. You probably know you've heard about them, but apparently they got like how about 45 amps, 45 amp draw.
Yep.
I know camera's not really, not really focusing on the text, so too bad. But pretty rare to find batteries that have such a high drain, and because what's that? It's a Samsung 30T or whatever. That's pretty high drain, isn't it? Like 30? Is it 30 amps?
I think there's like a what have we got? There's a Samsung 40Ts, and there's you got 30Ts, 40Ts, and there's also a 50S, which is kind of like the Vapsol T50. I think the capacity is like about 5,000 milliamp hours, and but I found that the Lyshon, I think the 21700 HP, they reached about 50.1 amps with the what's it called? The Night Watch NS59 V2 Chaos, which is crazy.
Jesus. Yeah, I remember you telling me about that. You ain't worried to run those tests on them. If you're in the chats, I can see a few people in the chats and just watching. If you have any questions for Tim or myself, just pop them in the chats and say hi. There's not really many people at this time. I think there's like about 5 or so people at the moment. I mean, it's middle of the night probably, or early hours of the morning for people in the States. But yeah, thank you for joining us. And yeah, this is really just a quick little meet and greet with Tim. Tim McMahon, he's a friend of mine, and he's also based in Melbourne, and he's really into flashlights. He's extremely technical, I think, with them, or a lot more than I am anyhow, and taught me quite a lot about what I needed to learn about lights in the beginning. So yeah, thought it would be good to just chat. This is actually the first time I've talked to Tim. It's the first time actually speaking to you. Yeah. And it's funny because it seems like doesn't really sometimes you speak to people and you think that maybe they'll be different or whatever, but I know it feels quite similar to us just messaging actually.
It's really good when people are helpful in the community. I think Owen was helping me out earlier on in 2020 to even to now today.
Yeah.
Just to learn stuff and build a DIY lumen tube, and so I didn't really know how to do the testing and whatnot. So
that was for One Lumen. Well, Owen from One Lumen, or I don't know if he still works for them.
Not so much work. I think he just volunteers his time sometimes, but he hasn't had much time recently in the past year or two.
Yeah.
He used to do a lot of reviews for them.
Oh yeah.
but it takes like 20 to 40 hours to do a review by the time you go through. And yeah, even
Mm.
taking product photos in a light box, and no one's like, well, you can get a decent light box on eBay for like $40. So just that's got the LED strips. So I got that and put some baking paper in front of the strips so that
Yeah.
if you've just got raw strips of LEDs, you get all these little star patterns occurring. If you've got a shiny torch, you'll see all of the LEDs reflect back off the like a metal surface. If it's a not
Nice.
so much this one, but not like this, but like the Ace Beam Rider RX, that one's really shiny.
Yeah.
Um, so I just put baking paper as a cheap hack to make it diffuse the light, so you don't see those show up.
Yeah. I still haven't made mine, so yeah, one day. There's a couple of questions or just like comments. So there's a
Yep.
Bangarang on YouTube is says
Yep.
super new. But Bangarang, is that there's some sort of song, isn't there?
Yep.
Bangarang, like is that a Skrillex, like a Skrillex reference? Anyway, super new to flashlights. What's some good
Yep.
ground rules for safety, etc.? About to pull the trigger on Astrolux FTO3S. I don't know that model. Do you know what that's
Oh
about?
yeah,
Ground rules for safety.
FTO3, yes. Guessing it's like an Anduril or Narsil driver. Um, so it'd be like a FTO, it's probably like a 21 700, 650 or something type small.
Yeah. Uh,
Um,
but
might be a 3 emitter thing, like a little powerful one. Yeah,
I mean
basic safety tips would be to just battery.
that
like like don't treat these as like this is a
21/7, 2700.
yeah, it's a 700.
Yeah.
But yeah, don't treat it like an alkaline AA battery or like a rechargeable NIM battery. They're not. These are way more dangerous. If you short circuit them, they'll explode. So just yeah, don't. You should try and treat them essentially like a weapon if you're handling them. At least I think of them that way because they could. Yeah, you could potentially start a fire in your pocket if you just shove them in your pocket and you've got keys. So
Like bridging
not
the
that you
positive
do
and
that.
negative terminal, anything that can bridge.
Yep.
Yeah. Yeah.
Yep.
And I
Yep.
remember, Tim, I remember I sent you, uh, I did like a little mod on one of my lights. What is it? The telespring bypass. And I forgot to,
Yep.
file down the solder, and I screwed on the back of the tail cap onto the 30T, and it made a big dent in a couple of my lights. And
Yeah.
like I showed you, and I was like, man, I don't know if I should be using this. And yeah, I ended up chucking those out, went to one
Yep.
of those e-waste disposal places. So
Yep.
yeah, battery
So
safety.
yeah, don't chuck them out in the bin. There's usually collection points where you can, if it's like a battery collection point at some hardware store or office place, even those they don't really intend you to chuck lithium cells out there, or they might.
What about
It's
what about
probably yeah.
what about charging? Like, is there, when people are charging their flashlights, maybe he's talking about, charging it directly in the tube versus charging it in an external
Yep.
charger. I mean, most people don't have an external charger, and if it's a decent brand,
Yep.
is it pretty safe to charge it and also leave it charging in for long, or should you, things like you're
Uh,
telling me to measure the battery voltage
yeah.
as well at certain points to make sure it's not too high.
Yeah, that's kind of why I do the testing with the low voltage protection. If a torch doesn't have low voltage protection, and if it's like an electronic switch instead of like a mechanical switch, where mechanical switch will completely shut off the power, so it's not going to drain the battery. But if it's an e-switch light, the FTO3 probably is an e-switch. What you can do is twist the head slightly to disconnect the power so that it doesn't drain the battery over time. Because if the battery goes below 2 volts, you're going to start. It's going to start to damage it internally, like the chemical reaction. It'll cause a higher resistance. So when you go to charge it next time, it might heat up. And I haven't really heard of cases where under that scenario where people have like caused fires, but it's not really great for the battery. if you get it down to 0 volts and try to recover it.
It's
So yeah, just twist the head slightly if it's an electronic tail switch, and that way, if it's or a side E switch rather, so that the power doesn't work anymore, so it's not draining your cell. But I don't really trust the in some of the chargers. Like rather, if it's a torch with built-in charging, you plug in a USB-C cable to charge it. I really like to verify that when it finishes the charge, and you check like an hour later while it's still connected and running, I'll then connect a multimeter. They're really cheap. Like, just use a digital multimeter, set it to volts, use the positive and negative at each end and measure the voltage. It should be like 4.20 volts when it's fully charged, or it might be 4.15 volts. Some chargers stop a bit earlier, and that's perfectly fine to stop it at 4.15 volts, but it shouldn't be like 4.25. Like 4.25 is a bit high, and if it's 4.3 or 4.4, that's way too high.
Yeah. So that means whatever, if the torch or whatever is just charging the battery too much, and that's going to be, because I think overcharging is real dangerous, right? Things could explode.
Yeah. Like if you've got an unprotected cell and it doesn't have overcharge protection on it, like this Samsung 30.
Yeah, and most
30Q.
I mean, most of the what do you call it? The batteries that come in most of these torches, they're unprotected, aren't they?
Yeah, a lot of them are. Like some might just be button tops without a protection circuit. Like I don't think this one, the Sophon one, I don't think it's protected. But
I just want to read out that second chat quickly, Tim. So Thomas L says, "Hi Darren and Tim. In the States, it's 5 a.m. I'm driving to work, so figured I'd join in, but can't participate too in depth." And Thomas has also super chatted $10. Thanks a lot, Thomas. Awesome. And really appreciate you being here. Thomas sort of comments and watches some of my videos as well. So yeah, if you have any questions while you're here, just ask and we'll do our best to answer. And for those of you who don't know as well, oops.
Right. Hey, it's a drop off soon. Sorry.
Oh yeah, something happened there for some reason. The stream just disconnected randomly.
Sorry, I might need to actually drop off. Sorry to kill the stream.
Oh dear. Okay.
Yeah, it's not good, but
yeah, that's cool. We'll do this another.
Duty calls.
That's all right, mate. I'll chat to you later. Chat to you later, Tim. And thanks for coming along. And check out Tim's channel. I'll put it in the description. It's also his Torch Hacker on YouTube. I think he might be gone.